Welcome to the Hastings City Council recap. In this video, items of importance from the December 6th council meeting will be reviewed by HCTV for the viewers. The meeting opened up with a reaffirmation made by the council on their April 2018 resolution, "In Hastings, all are welcomed." Prior to the reaffirmation being read by the entire council, Mayor Mary Fassbender made a statement of her own, building off her public statement from Monday, November 29th, in response to the news of Kelsey Waits and her family.
Since then, my eyes have been opened more, and my ears continue to hear the stories of people who feel they cannot be their authentic self in our community, and they do not feel safe. They fear of hate, bullying surrounds them in their neighborhoods. I attended the rally on Saturday for the Kelsey Waits family, along with the LGBTQ and the trans community. I stood proudly with many others in their support. I will admit, and people know this about me, that it has not been comfortable for me to have these discussions. I have now started to have them for 3 years, and I feel I'm starting to learn and be educated what some of the communities in our city of Hastings are going through. I've had diversity, inclusion, and equity trainings, and will continue to have more and more conversations. And I will continue to learn and show up when I'm asked.
During public comment, Kelsey Waits spoke to the council on the events of the previous week and asked for all the council members to take accountability with their words in making Hastings a safer place for all to live, and for them not to just make statements without action following them, to hold those who are making Hastings an unsafe community for others accountable.
While this story does tell how these Facebook posts were brought into my husband's workplace, how they were discussed at hair salons, and how they impacted us at the playground, it does not mention how local elected leaders, including some of you, were aware of these posts. You were aware of what was happening, and still, you stayed silent. Coming forward with our story in such a public way was not easy. I cannot tell you how many hours I have spent crying over this decision, but just because it wasn't easy doesn't mean that it wasn't right. After spending almost 4 years watching our leaders remain silent, after listening to many of you repeat time and time again that Hastings is a welcoming place, and claiming that it is not your role to do the hard work of creating an equitable and inclusive community, enough is enough. We all play a role in changing the narrative in Hastings. Someone needed to speak up. I am not alone in my story. Stories of hate speech and bigotry in this community are abundant if you take the time to listen. At the same time, the burden of change should not be placed on marginalized groups. We should not be forced to relive our trauma over and over again so that you can better understand.
The 2022 city budget, along with changes to taxation and levies, were a major focus of the council meeting Monday night. City Administrator Dan Waiticha gave a presentation on the overview of the budget to the council and to help the public understand how the process to make a budget for the city each year is done.
In setting the budget, we look at a number of principles. It's easy to talk about taxes, but it translates into the services that we provide as a community, whether it's parks or police, the variety of employees that we recognized earlier today, the services that they provide our residents and businesses. We try to set revenues, particularly taxes, at realistic levels, and also need to make sure that we maintain adequate reserves and amount in the bank, because there can be unforeseens. That also does play a positive role when we're taking on debt for long-lived projects. Particularly the last several years, the council has had a strong emphasis on maintaining our infrastructure, particularly streets and the pipes underground. I know at the staff level, when we're talking about our departments and our budget aspects, We do review the city's core values of communication, optimal service, respect for resources, and enthusiasm.
The budget overview for 2022 for the city is expected to be approximately $43 million, covering multiple projects such as the Neighborhood Project of 2022, ambulance use fees, increase in city employee wages, and the possibility of adding new city positions, among other things. The city will be able to cover the total budget capital through taxes and fee increases, as well as having an additional $2.4 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds from the federal government. The city hopes to cover items included in the 2022 budget for spending such as police radar signs, for speeding, cybersecurity, and technology infrastructure with ARPA spending. The 2022 tax rate for the city of Hastings is estimated to be at 58.606%, a 1.25% increase from 2021. The levy for the city will be at $16.3 million, a 6.41% increase from 2021. The tax rate increase for property taxes in Hastings compared to other cities in Dakota County is higher than that of Burnsville and Rosemount and about the same as Lakeville, hovering around 3.33%. Hastings resident Patrick Wesselman spoke to the council during the public comment portion of the meeting on his opinions on the changes in property tax for Hastings residents in 2022.
My assessment's gone up $55,000 in 3 years. Okay. So of course, also then my property taxes have gone up along with that as well as the city share as well. So I don't quite understand exactly where, well, I can understand where the money goes, services and stuff that the city provides and all that, and that's great. I just don't understand why we have to have such a high tax levy increase from the city when you've been getting an increase, at least for me, on my property, for the last 3 years. It's gone up, this year's levy on my property is going up 9.4% already for a proposed bill that I just received. I don't have any plans of leaving Hastings or anything over it, but that's pretty steep. Because I moved here in 2006 when taxes were $1,950. They're now $3,700.
Emergency paid sick leave that has been implemented for the city due to the COVID-19 pandemic will remain in effect for city employees until June 30th, 2022. The emergency paid sick leave will allow for 80 hours of paid sick leave if the city employee must be away from work due to COVID-19 related illness or other illnesses. The city passed a resolution to grant site plan approval for the New Jersey Mike's, which will be located off Vermilion Street at the former Enterprise Car Rental. This will allow for construction to rebuild the property on the site in 2022. 19 new employees who began working for the city of Hastings in 2021 were recognized during the council meeting for their services that they have contributed for the year. A reminder that snow emergency parking is now in effect across Hastings city streets whenever 2 or more inches of snow fall. The next and final regular council meeting of 2021 is scheduled for Monday, December 20th at 7 p.m. Thanks for watching.